What is going on, gunfighters? Saddle up for Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about gunfighting, being a warrior, being a man, the right way, with God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. If this is not your first ride here with us at Gunfighter Life, hopefully you'll scroll down, hit some stars, leave a review. Check out goodshepherdtraining.com while you're listening if you want. I'm going to plug in the bio because it's kind of germane to today's topic. The top 5 ARs readily available at the time of this recording. If you want to skip ahead, go about a minute and 45 seconds from when the bio starts, and that should get you pretty close to the topic. So, who am I? Who is this person talking to you from across the internet? Why should you listen? First and foremost, I am a Christian, a servant of God, and a follower of Jesus Christ. God has blessed me to do many things in my life, for I could do nothing apart from Him. U.S. Marine Corps combat veteran, did a couple of tours in Iraq. As an assaultman after my combat tours, I was an urban warfare instructor for the Marine Corps under Mojave Viper. Also served in the U.S. Army, both full-time and part-time National Guard. Also did several years in law enforcement, LAPD. I worked regular assignments and more specialized assignments. Been a private contractor for a 3-letter government agency. That's all I'll say about that. Been blessed to be a state rifle and pistol champion and West Coast Regional Rifle Champion. Won more shooting competitions with the talent that God's given me than I can actually remember. Was blessed to be the commander of a tactical team in a large metropolitan area. Our primary job, the reason we primarily existed, was to stop active shooters. I got the opportunity to head up and be the commander of that team. I grew up around guns, hunting and shooting and competing at a very early age. Been blessed to hunt all over this beautiful country, from whitetail on the East Coast to mule deer on the West Coast, and bear and elk and all manner of things. I've even been a professional big game hunter and guide. But again, most importantly, I'm a Christian. And I am your host, Michael Melito. Welcome to the podcast. The AR-15, America's rifle. Now, I am not the biggest fanboy of the AR, M16, M4 pattern weapons. I have used them, as you might deduce from the bio. I've also had them fail on me. But there's no denying their prolific nature on the American gun market and gun culture. They are the dominant fighting and defensive rifle / carbine in America today. I don't think that can be argued, just on market share alone if you look at that. So, with that being the case, if you're coming here for advice, I am humbled, truly humbled. And you don't have to agree with me, but I'm truly humbled that you come here for advice. God's blessed me to have many experiences in life, many with the AR-15, M16 pattern of weapon, M4 pattern of weapon. So, what's my advice going to be for the top 5 on the market today? And let me be clear what I mean. This is Gunfighter Life. This is in relationship to gun fighting. Fighting rifles and carbines. Not the tacticalist looking for Instagram. Not the fastest with the least split times for competition. There's nothing wrong with that stuff, but I'm talking about gun fighting. Defensive and or fighting rifles for you, for your group, militia, AR-15s. What are the best on the market today for fighting AR-15 pattern weapons? Also, with that, readily available for me, and this means that it's listed on the manufacturer's website, like it's still currently being made. With those caveats, let's get into it. I can think of no better place to get started than Colt. Colt is, shall I say, legendary in the world of the AR-15. In fact, for a while, they were kind of the source for M16s and M4s. They designed the M4. They bought the rights for the M16 AR pattern from, I believe, Stoner or Armalite or whoever. I don't think you can really separate the two. And they still make AR-15s. They still make those pattern of rifles. So I don't think you can separate that. For a long time, the Colt LE6920 was kind of the go-to. So what are we looking at today for current production in the Colts? To give credit where credit is due, when they came up with the M4 and the military really started adopting it in great numbers and started kind of shifting away from the M16 to the M4, that carbine length, there were some issues with it. It was kind of intended initially, as I understand it, do your own research, as a backup weapon, as kind of a PDW, not a full frontline battlefield weapon. So a lot of, let's say, improvements were done to where it got fairly decent. And a lot of stuff that went into that was done by Colt. And you get the Colt M4A1. Colt on its website right now lists a Colt M4A1. Assuming it's made to good quality control standards, and I have no reason to doubt that it is, you're getting a very proven rifle with all that R&D that went into it that you can have as a civilian. Now granted, it's not going to be either 3-round burst or full auto. It's going to be the semi-automatic guise of that, which is just fine. It's also going to have the government profile barrel, which people seem to like, just maybe because it says government on it, but that's mostly a profile, as I understand it, for mounting an M203 grenade launcher, which probably does not apply to you. All that being said, it's a good rifle. It's proven. It's got a lot of street cred, battlefield use. And if you can get it from Colt, the ones that make them for the military, or up until very recently made, I think, all of them. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but for a long time they were the sole maker of the M4. You can get that weapon. They make that M4A1, comes with the Night quad rail, comes configured pretty much, not exactly, but pretty much like you would get issued in the military. So that's going to be my number one recommendation. They also make the M4 OEM 1, which is basically that rifle stripped down without all the furniture on it, because if you want to dress it up yourself, if you decide you want a free float rail, which is a good upgrade, if you decide you want a different stock, I wouldn't fault you for that. And it shouldn't, if you do it properly, affect the reliability of that weapon at all. It may improve the ergonomics. So they sell that OEM 1, they list it on their website, which I think is a really good idea. It's just basically the stripped down functioning rifle without the furniture. You can save some money that way. If you're going to pull that stuff off anyway, why pay for it in the first place? I think Colt anticipated the market there and really did a good job of offering that stripped down version. But that Colt M4A1, that Colt M4 OEM 1, I guess technically that's kind of cheating because it's two different models, but I just thought I'd mention that OEM if you wanted the stripped down version. But I'm going to stick with that number one pick of the Colt M4A1. I want to stay away from naming prices because I don't know when you're going to listen to this, and with inflation and everything, I don't know. I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to go by Cougarans. If you don't know, a Cougarand is a South African 1-ounce gold coin, and it seems like a more adequate way in this market today to use equal weights and measures to describe something. So the 1-ounce gold Cougarand will be what I refer today as in price, instead of the inflation and everything going on with the other currencies. So that Colt M4A1 listed on the website versus what the price is of a gold Cougarand when I'm looking this up, it's about 0.75 Cougarand. Now let's talk about my number 2 choice here. And this is another big supplier of military arms and a supplier of these type of rifles to many organizations. That's going to be FN, Fabrique Nationale. They make a good product. They make a good AR. And since I picked an M4 carbine-ish style weapon for the first one, I'm going to pick the full-size fighting rifle for the second choice. They make the FN-15 M16 Collector Edition. It is, from what I can tell, very close to the military version of the M16A4, which is what I used in one of my deployments over to the sandbox. I honestly don't remember who made mine. It may have been Colt, it may have been FN. I honestly don't remember. I was a little busy trying to not die. But that M16A4, that full rifle length, if you're looking for a full-size fighting rifle, not the carbine, but a fighting rifle with the full-length barrel and the full-length rifle gas system, which has more than a few advantages to it. If you're looking for that full-size fighting rifle, AR-15, robust, rugged, designed as a frontline battlefield weapon, used by the United States Marine Corps infantry, ready to mount good modern optics, FN makes it. And except for being, again, 3-round burst or full auto, very similar. And if it's made to the same quality, which I have no reason to doubt that it is, a very, very good weapon, that military collector edition, that FN-15 M16 collector edition. Very, very similar to an actual M16A4. You should have no problem, if you have good marksmanship skills, getting hits on man-sized silhouette targets out to 500 meters or 550 yards. It does list a chrome-lined barrel, which I really like, and I think it will be a fine choice for a fighting AR-15, especially if you want the full-size fighting rifle. And that's gonna run you just under a Cougar Rand, just shy of that 1 ounce gold coin. The next one, may call it the cool guy pick, but still practical. Probably the name Daniel Defense is well known in the tactical world, in the AR-15 world. Daniel Defense is known for making good stuff, and I think rightfully so. You might think of them as like the Gucci pick, or I think my wife calls it bougie. She's a bit younger than me. But that doesn't make it a bad rifle. It's certainly good, proven, reliable platform. It's a good platform. It's really good quality control. I would say I would trust one of these as much as a Colt or an FN, and that says a lot. Also, I think it has better ergonomics, and the big thing on this one is it's going to have a free float rail. Now, many an AR-15 today come with a free float rail that doesn't interfere with the barrel and harmonics. This is not the place to explain that, but that's a pretty common feature on much cheaper AR, so why spend that much? Well, you're getting a free float rail here with a really proven platform. So you're getting that reliability plus the enhancements that you get from a free float. The ones we mentioned before, the military copies, they do not have, as far as I'm aware, a free float barrel. So you're getting that benefit here, and you're also getting better ergonomics right out of the gate. Ergonomics is kind of an individual thing. You may think the Colt has better ergonomics, those just military grips, and the Knights Armament quad rail. You may think that's better ergonomics, but I think for a lot of people, they'll find the ergonomics of the DD M4 V1 better right out of the box. A good fighting rifle, and it's got all the things that would make it a good, dependable AR-15. Now, you can get a Lemon in any maker model. You can get it in this or the Colt or the FN, but assuming it's made to really good quality control standards, and again, I have no reason to believe that it's not, that Daniel Defense M4 V1, DD M4 V1, really, really solid choice. It is over 1 Cougar Rand. It is about between 1.1 and 1.3 Cougar Rand. It's got the same robust features, that good, chrome-lined barrel. It's got that, in my opinion, better rail, a decent stock, decent grip, pistol grip that is. It does look like it's listed with a vertical foregrip, which I was hoping those went away. Maybe they're coming back like the fanny pack of the AR-15 world. I wish they would go away and stay away, but it comes with it. You could just throw it away if you don't want to use it. But that DDM4 V1, that I think is a solid choice. Now, the next one I think is the sleeper on this list, but a really, really good rifle and rifle company, LMT, Lewis Machine Tool. They may not ring a bell like Colt or FN, but they certainly make good rifles. They make the New Zealand defense rifle. They have several rifle contracts. So they are a proven design. Remember, these are gunfighting ARs. These are not Instagram ARs or something for you to dress up and play tactical Ken doll. Not the ones that are going to match best with your 511 pants and your plate carrier. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is gunfighting ones, and I think this is a proven design. I think LMT is known for making good guns, and are known for making good piston ARs. And if you don't want an AR that defecates in the operating system, as some might say the direct impingement system does, where that dirty gas blows back. And I know it's not technically direct impingement, but that's what it's usually known as, so that's what I'm going to refer to it as. That system where that dirty gas gets cycled back into the bolt. If you don't want that system and you want a piston system, and I am picking one, then I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to pick the LMT, and they make a couple of models, but I'm looking at the Mars L. The Mars L is the 5.56 version. It is, I think Mars stands for Modular Ambidextrous Rifle System. Okay, so I would have picked a different name, but that doesn't make it a bad gun. It's really good. It does state that it has a chrome lined barrel. It doesn't state whether it's a free float rail, but looking at it, it looks like it very well could be. It has a chrome lined bolt, judging from the picture, and let's say, in my opinion, for most people, better ergonomics than your standard FN or Colt M4. And again, the big thing you're getting with this is that piston system. What hurts about this one is the price. This one is going to cost you right around 1.5 Cougarand. So that's quite a bit more. 1.5 Cougarand, and it doesn't look like it comes with iron sights. At least they're not in the picture, unless they come in a box or something. You'd still have to buy iron sights and your optic and all that. So not a cheap rifle, but if you want a good, reliable piston system, I would point you towards the LMT. Now, if you were counting along, that'll bring us to 4, and I said top 5. Maybe you're thinking, I'm just not running around with pockets flush with Cougarand. And I'd say, hey, I hear ya. This next pick is the one you may have been waiting for. The Smith & Wesson M&P. I'm a big fan of their pistols, and I'm a big fan of their ARs, especially for the money. In my experience, and these have been around a while, I think they're very, very good ARs, period. If you took the price away, it would still be a really good AR. They're made well. Even their more basic models. The Sport 2, they make a couple of different versions. They make a version that already comes with Magpul furniture, which I'm a big fan of the Magpul furniture. And I think that M&P Sport 2 with the Magpul furniture is a good AR, period. And it's going to set you back at the time of this recording, and this is per their website, so you might be able to get it even cheaper. But per the company's own websites, and per, where I pulled up the price of a gold Cougarand as of the time of this recording, less than half a Cougarand. Less than half of 1 ounce South African gold Cougarand. Now, it looks like the barrel on here is not chrome lined, but it's what they called Armonite, if I'm pronouncing that right, Armonite. And I had to look up what that is, because that's probably their proprietary name, Armonite. And I looked it up, and from a couple of different places here, It says it's a nitride finish, and nitride, depending on how it's done, can be a very good finish, and I have no reason to doubt that Smith & Wesson does a good nitriding process. Whether it's QP, QPQ nitride process, I don't know. I did a whole episode on like different barrel things. You can go look that up. But not a chrome-lined barrel, but nitride in some ways is as good or better. Not in every way. If I had my pick, I think I'd still want a chrome-lined barrel for a go-to fighting rifle or carbine. However, nitride is a good finish. Far better than like parkerizing or bluing for this kind of application, in my opinion. And again, it's less than half a Cougarand. Good option. This one comes with the Magpul furniture. I would really, because it's not that much more, I would get that right off the bat because it gives you the ability to mount a white light. Throw a slig on it, throw a white light on it, throw a decent optic, whether you want LPV or a red dot, and that's a good pick. It's solid. So those are the top 5 choices for the AR-15s on the market readily available today in the Cougarand exchange rate. So if you enjoyed this episode, if you thought it brought some value, you learned anything, or from past episodes, if you're going to consider buying one of these rifles or a different rifle or even the cost of a box of ammo for a very small amount, you can go over to Patreon. There should be a link in the show notes and be an active participant in the tribe. Help support the podcast. I don't have sponsors on this show. I've turned sponsors down. I don't want me to tell you this AR is the best when it's clearly not. Like, if you appreciate that honest opinion and you value it, hopefully you'll consider supporting. Consider signing up on Patreon. There's a lot of perks you get to that, but I mostly want you to support because you believe in the show. With that, I usually do a tactical tip, but I thought for this it would be good to mention my top 3 picks for AR-15 Stanag pattern magazines. Number 1 pick, because if you're buying one of these rifles or looking at these, you probably should be getting some magazines. And the old GI, I don't care what color follower it has, is not going to be in my top 3. So I wouldn't go with that. Keep those for a backup or for training or whatever. Spray paint them green or red so when you drop them in the desert or the forest, you can find them. But for go-to fighting AR-15 pattern magazines, I like Amend 2. Make really good magazines. They're affordable. They're really good. Amend 2. Also, I really like Magpul magazines. I mean, I don't think I have to defend that pick, right? Magpul magazines, they're a great choice. And my third pick is Lancer mags. They have the polymer magazines with the steel feed lips. Now, if they're number 3, a lot of people really want the steel feed lip. I think it's good. I don't think that I've had any real issues with the polymer magazine feed lips. In fact, I think I've had the most with the GI aluminum feed lips. That said, the Lancer makes a good mag. So, Amend 2, Magpul, Lancer, good AR-15 magazines. And a good inexpensive surplus way to carry those magazines is a bandolier. I keep one draped with whatever AR's in the truck. I keep one of those draped behind the driver's seat, like looped around the seat and hanging down, easy to grab. But they make those magazine bandoliers. They're a good, effective, cheap way to keep your magazines organized, cleaner at least, and you can just grab them and throw them on you if you want more magazines than what you'd have on your war belt or your chest rig or whatever. You can just grab them. And if you get stuck on a really boring assignment like standing post, where you're static, staring out at an open desert or whatever, which can be a thing for the most ardent of gunfighters, it can be an arduous task. You can take those off and set them down right in front of you so you can still reach them easily, and now you're having less weight because you're carrying your rifle and your body armor and maybe who knows what else, comms, and relieving some of that weight can be a good thing. So those surplus AR-15 bandoliers, they're a good piece of kit to know about. With that, the tactical verse of the day, because all the gunfights won in the world pale in comparison to dying and going to hell. Where you're going to spend eternity is more important. What better to end an AR-15 podcast with than deep theological thought on the unity of God? A reading from John chapter 17. I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their word. Pause. If you are a believer listening to this, that's you and that's me. That's an amazing thing. I'm going to start it from where I started before and read a little bit more. I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their word, that they all may be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you sent me, and the glory which you gave me I have given them, that they may be one, just as we are one, I in them, and you in me, that they may be perfect in one. That's a deep, deep passage. To know that we can be brought in union to God through the redeeming blood of His Son, Jesus Christ. It's worth more than all the Cougarans, all the ARs in the world put in one pile. God's more valuable than any of that. Naked you came into this world, and naked you're going out of it. You could think of heaven or hell as a continuation of what we have here. If you don't want to spend your life here in unity with God, in union with God, in fellowship with God, why would He force you to spend eternity like that? If you want to separate yourself from God here on this earth in sin and not believing in the redemptive quality of the blood of His Son, Jesus Christ, do that in eternity in hell. So, choose wisely. Choose God. Choose Christ. Wherever, whatever situation, it's always the right answer to turn to God, to go to God, to be in union with God. With that, men, thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.